Johnny Depp as a Native American, not quite as jarring as Robert Downey Jr. in blackface, but still, God, that was awkward. The Lone Ranger is the story of, well, the Lone Ranger, John Reed. John Reed is a man of the law, and he's after this outlaw named Butch Cavendish. During an ambush by Cavendish, John's brother ends up killed, and John himself almost gets killed, but he's saved by a Native American named Tonto. Tonto reveals to John that he is a chosen warrior, a masked man who cannot be killed in battle. And so John Reed, now under the new name of the Lone Ranger, decides to team up with Tonto and get revenge on the criminal who killed his brother. I'll be honest, I didn't have high expectations going to this one. I really feel like Disney is just trying too hard to copy off the success of Pirates of the Caribbean, and that's basically all that this movie is. And this is coming from someone who actually really enjoyed Pirates 2 and 3. I never saw the fourth one. I didn't feel the need to, but 2 and 3 I actually quite enjoy. I do think they're a little too long, but take out some of that padding, and I think it's quite an enjoyable experience. Boy, how I wish I could say the same about the Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger was just... I just couldn't bring myself to care about anything in this movie. So, let's start off with the characters. Basically, you have three characters being developed here. You have the Lone Ranger, Tonto, and the villain, Butch Cavendish. Those three characters are getting all the time and attention, so to the point where you aren't really given a chance to give a crap about anyone else in the cast. They try to give dramatic moments to supporting roles, and it just doesn't work because you're like, who is this person? Why should I be invested in what is supposed to be a really intense moment? It just doesn't work because all their time and attention is being focused mostly on making Johnny Depp, you know, do the same shtick he's done in the past half dozen, you know, blockbuster movies he's been in. The movie did start out promising. I think in the first 10-15 minutes I did find things to enjoy, but I was definitely fearful when I knew that it was a 2.5-hour movie, and knowing the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, I knew it was probably going to rely on padding, and it did. But I'm not against padding if the non-padding moments are worth it, and here they just fall flat. This was a very boring movie-going experience. This is the hardest sit-through for me in 2013 so far. I'm really not even sure what to say. There's nothing to be invested in. Johnny Depp does have his moments. You know, there are moments of the humor and the brilliance that was Jack Sparrow, but there's nothing else. There's nothing else to his character. They try to give him a backstory. It doesn't work. It never really comes into play except for one really forced dramatic moment. Armie Hammer is uninteresting. The villain, kind of like Johnny Depp, has his moments. He can be entertaining. He can be intimidating. He does have a few intimidating moments. But for the most part, you're given nothing to care about. It's just kind of a 2.5-hour ride through the West, which is a shame because you can do a lot with this concept, and it makes you think that a lot is happening. I mean, 2.5 hour movie. There's a lot you can do in 2.5 hours, but here they really don't do much of anything. Let's go back to Johnny Depp again, because everyone keeps complaining about how he does these really stupid, goofy characters now, and that's basically all he does. That's like his shtick. Thing is, how this whole trend started was essentially with Captain Jack Sparrow, who I think is a brilliant character. I agree with Hollywood that Jack Sparrow is a great character, but he's a great character that can only be done once. And that's all this, I mean, especially like in voice and in mannerisms, even though it was a different type, even though it was a different kind of character, it was still very much Jack Sparrow-esque. And I just kept having Pirates flashbacks, and I kept expecting Armie Hammer to turn into Orlando Bloom. There's nothing, I guess that kind of sums it up. There's really nothing original here. There's no heart to this movie. It just seems to kind of cash in on Johnny Depp's goofy characters, and that's really it. I mean, everything else is just one of the more lazy westerns I've ever seen. I really don't know what this movie really gave me. Nothing. I didn't feel invested in 1 second of this movie, and that's a shame, because I mean, even movies that I have not liked this year, I've been able to say a lot about. But this one, it was just, again, it was the hardest sit through. You know, when the credits started rolling, I jumped up faster than I have in a theater this year. That includes things like Identity Thief, which I loathed, but I was still able to be patient with it, and again, I was able to have a lot to say about it. But this movie has nothing to it. No heart, no soul, no drive. It just seems to try to be doing Pirates of the Caribbean in a Western setting. And it just doesn't work at all. So again, sorry if it seems like I'm repeating myself, if it seems like I'm really not making any new points, because there's really nothing. There are really no new points to give other than what I gave you. Except Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter really need to stop working together. I'm sick of, and I hate to say this because I'm going to sound mean, but it's true. Helena Bonham Carter basically seems to attach herself to everything that Johnny Depp is in nowadays. I mean, you think of like Alice in Wonderland, and where I haven't seen it, but from the clips I have seen, it seems like her part could have been played by anybody. And here again, it's the same thing. That person did not need to be Helena Bonham Carter. It could have been anybody else. And I think that's kind of the difference between the two actors, because like I said before, everyone always complains about Johnny Depp doing all these strange, crazy roles. Helena Bonham Carter does too, and the difference is Johnny Depp at least has variety. It may not be very good variety, but he does have variety. I mean, I wouldn't have expected him to have a career that went from, pirate to Willy Wonka to Mad Hatter to Tonto. But I mean, Helena Bonham Carter, that's the one little bit of credit I will give Johnny Depp, is he is willing to try new things. Helena Bonham Carter seems to have been stuck in the same role for at least the past half a decade. maybe longer. As you can see, I'm totally out of things to talk about. Just, there's so much more out there this year. I think you can safely ignore the Lone Ranger and feel smarter for it. I think you have a lot of better ways to spend your money. This is not it. This is not the summer movie experience that you're looking for. So just skip it. And that's it for this edition of the Backseat Reviewer. Check out my written review, which will be coming in the description below. And until next time, this is Captain Sandwich, signing out.